Joining us right now, Tommy Wells, council member of the District of Columbia and mayoral candidate. Thanks for joining us, Councilman Wells.
Good morning. Good morning.
So we have our first round of polls that came out after the blockbuster plea deal there with Uncle Earl from the U.S. Attorney's Office. And if you believe the polls, it looks like Vincent Gray's support has remained solid, which is remarkable to me. And Muriel Bowser has gotten a bounce, and you're kind of in the same spot. What do you make of those polls, if you agree with them? And also, what do you have to do to cut into Vincent Gray here?
Well, I got in the race really to try to end corruption in city government. Yeah, as you know, it's just been a mess. And, Vince Gray's campaign, he won with a corrupt campaign. Now, what you see with this poll, Vince Gray is at about 27%. He has not gained 1 percentage point. And for a sitting incumbent mayor to have almost only the quarter of the electorate for you really is it's not much support. So, I think he's eminently beatable because he has not grown in the polls at all.
So I get the impression that you would like to see just about anybody become mayor other than Vincent Gray, if I'm reading you right.
Well, I'm the only one not taking corporate contributions.
Yeah.
I think corporate contributions is definitely corrupting politics in the country. Ever since the Supreme Court said that corporations are people, I think that people are a little disgusted with that. So, as the only candidate not taking corporate contributions, probably the most, progressive, viable candidate in the race, I have to, just rally support for good government.
Well, are you in it to the end? Because if there were fewer candidates, it would almost guarantee, perhaps, that Vincent Gray would not be elected.
I can't guarantee that my supporters would go to Muriel Bowser. Vincent Gray is a little bit more progressive, but we're obviously disgusted with the corruption that in the way that he won. So I can't guarantee that my supporters would go to one candidate or the other. Now, I just recently got the endorsement of the firefighters, the police union, National Organization for Women, Greater Washington, and some other endorsements have been coming in. I'm second only to Vince Gray in the number of endorsements, and these guys are going to work. I've got firefighters all over the city that are off duty that are handing out literature for me this morning at the Metro stops.
Tommy Wells, from day one, your race has been against, as you put it at the very first statement you made here, against corruption in the District of Columbia and squarely focused on Vincent Gray. Now, it seems to me your strategy needs to be also to make a case against Muriel Bowser, or why you are better fit to be the mayor than Muriel Bowser. Tell me, is Councilwoman Bowser prepared to be mayor? Is she ready and experienced enough to be mayor?
Well, even in serving with her, Muriel is more of a blank slate. I can't say good or bad. I mean, she's more of a blank slate. While she has not supported campaign finance reform, on the other side, I think that she has not participated in a corrupt campaigning as Vince Gray has. So I think she's more of a blank slate.
And you've got your final debate tonight, right? It's going to be you and the
That's right. We'll be on Channel 9 tonight with Bruce Johnson, and it's our final debate.
And it's just going to be you, Evans, Bowser, and Gray. So are you going to try to make the case for yourself tonight specifically, not just that Vince Gray is the problem, but you are the man with the answers versus Muriel Bowser? How are you going to make that case?
Well, I actually grew a little bit in the polls while Jack Evans plummeted. My numbers went up a little bit, but I think that people are still making up their minds. I think it's still fluid.
That's sort of an important question. Do you think there's still some volatility in where the voters might ultimately land?
Absolutely. I think that the voters are, a lot of folks in the city are disgusted with the corruption in our government, and they want change. And so I think there's still a case to be made. And again, as my endorsements, I have more endorsements than anybody but Vince Gray, and these guys are going to work.
Why haven't those endorsements, though, resulted in a larger number in the poll, do you think?
They only came the past 10 days. Oh. After the Jeffrey Thompson plea, then all of a sudden all the endorsements started flooding in.
Can I ask you
it's
this?
right close to the end.
Specifically about one of those endorsements, Tommy Wells, you mentioned the firefighters union, and it seems to me, with the unbelievable stories about Chief Ellerby and Mayor Gray's seeming protection under all circumstances of this fire chief, and you are uniquely qualified to make this case because you are the chairman of the committee that oversees fire and safety. Are you going to make a bigger case about the problems in the fire department tonight at the debate? Are you going to try to make this a bigger issue than it has been in this campaign?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, the mayor has let us down. We're all dependent on emergency medical services and the firefighters, and he has not stepped up to take accountability for what's happening in the fire department at all. He's left it to the chief by himself.
Should the chief be fired?
I have said that the chief should be replaced. Yes, I've said
What
that.
should happen to the lieutenant?
Excuse me?
What should happen to the lieutenant who made the decision not to go across the street?
Oh, well, the lieutenant faces a disciplinary hearing, and she will get, they'll decide her fate, but she faces a disciplinary hearing, as she should.
All right. And Tommy Wells, depending on how things go with the primary, again, it's 6 days away, even though early voting is happening right now. If it turns out you don't win this, and I know every candidate doesn't even want to entertain this, but just in case you don't win the primary, would you consider running as a third party or as an independent like your colleague David Catania?
Well, let me say that I'm going to stay involved in this great city in some leadership position, one way or the other. I'm not going away. Really, there is a progressive movement, not just in D.C., but in America. And we really, want to change things in a way that we've got good government. We've got, great things like, great public transportation, great schools, all the things that good government stands for. I don't think that's going away. I think there's a growing interest in that, and also having much smarter cities that is what I call, 5-minute living is what cities can offer. And that's, support livable, walkable neighborhoods for everyone.
So who do you come after stronger in the debate tonight? Do you go after Gray or do you go after Bowser?
I promote Tommy Wells.
Good answer.
That's the right answer.
But let me ask you this. I mean, because your colleague, David Catania, is going to run as an independent, and he's announced now, this is going to be, I think, no matter who emerges from the primary, this is going to be a real race all the way through to November. Do you agree with that? Do you think Catania is a viable candidate no matter who comes out of the Democratic primary?
He's absolutely a viable candidate. Absolutely. If it's Mayor Gray that wins the nomination, already the poll says that Catania's tied with Mayor Gray, and Mayor Gray's support is not growing.
Well, given your troubles with the mayor, and you've basically said that he's responsible for corruption in our government, if he does win the primary, will you endorse David Catania?
Right now, I'm making no plans.
All right. Well, either way, we'll love to have you back here.
Yeah,
to talk about
and we'll be watching the debate.
And thanks. I mean, the local state party has, the majority of the city wanted an elected attorney general, and this state Democratic Party, has said nothing about it with no support.
Right.
The Democrat local party's done nothing about campaign corruption. So I think loyalty to this party in D.C. right now is, there's going to have to be some changes.
All right, we'll leave it there. And as I said, either way, no matter what the results of the primary, I think that your voice, Tommy Wells, will be an interesting one to hear if you're the nominee, or if you didn't win, I think you'll have some opinions on how things went. We'd love to have you back next week after the primary.
Absolutely. Love your show.
Thank you, Councilmember Wells.